So our next speaker is going to be Thaniel. Thaniel is a social work major and a team captain of the Hype Squad, the university's cheer and stunt team. He served as a new student mentor and student leadership ambassador, roles that deepened his love for connecting with others and building community. Thaniel enjoys spending time with family and friends, having meaningful conversations, playing sports, and going on spontaneous adventures. Above all, he has a deep passion for supporting others and strives to emulate the example of Jesus Christ by serving and loving people as he did. Thaniel plans to pursue graduate studies in counseling with a focus on sexual assault prevention and recovery. Thaniel.
One in 21 students experience unwanted sexual contact within the last 12 months. Now, this might be a surprising statistic, especially when considering this survey was done at our sister school, at BYU. I don't know about you, but when I hear about someone, especially someone that I care deeply about, who has experienced unwanted sexual contact or sexual assault, it makes my blood boil. It makes me feel like I want to beat someone up and run a marathon at the same time, and I hate running. So why I'm here is I want to use that passion that I feel for good and to help you understand the sacred principle of consent. Now, I've been very prayerful and thoughtful in this preparation for this talk, speaking with students who have experienced sexual assault, even here in Rexburg, and with professionals that have worked with both perpetrators and victims. And I'll also be speaking about consent as a principle and not just sexual consent. Now, I know that it's a hard topic to talk about, but I invite you to be aware of those thoughts and those feelings that are coming up for you and open up your mind and your heart and to receive those and to learn more about this sacred principle. And I'll help to understand that there are two most precious gifts that the Lord has given us. The first being our physical body, and the second, our agency, the ability to choose. In the case of non-consent, both of these things are violated. Now, I want to help to demonstrate the principles behind consent and the depth, because it's so much more than just yes and no. And I'm going to use a story of Samantha and Matt. Now, Samantha, she's a very cautious girl, especially when she's driving. She always uses her blinker. She stops at for yellow lights, and people would tease her, but it made her feel safe. Matt, everyone loves him and trusts him, but he can be a little bit reckless sometimes. Now, Matt and Samantha start hanging out a little bit more, and Matt starts to ask Samantha, "Hey, what kind of car do you drive? Hey, you should give me a ride home. Give me a ride home." But Samantha would always say no. Until one day, Matt and Samantha are the only two people that are left at a party. And Matt says, "Hey, give me a ride. You're my only way home." So Samantha says, "Sure, fine." On the way to Matt's house, Matt sees a road. He said, "Hey, this is a shortcut. Go this way." But Samantha was worried. She'd never been down that road before. But before Samantha could say anything, Matt grabs the steering wheel and pulled it to the right. The car rolls. Now, the impact of this crash did not end once the paramedics arrived, or even after those broken bones had healed. They both survived, but Samantha felt broken in ways that she couldn't see on the inside. She was unable to go to therapy to get medical help, as well as talk to a counselor, and she was diagnosed with PTSD. She eventually was able to get into a car again, and eventually was able to drive. But she had to grip the steering wheel, and sometimes she would cry, and sometimes she had to pull over, but she was driving again. Now, there's some core principles that will help to understand the idea of consent and break down some of the aspects of this story. And as I go through some definitions and principles here, be thinking about the relationships in your life and those of your friends and your family, being able to identify These principles will help you to identify when consent is not being respected. The first one is consent. Consent is clear. Boundaries are clearly stated and understood by both people. It's more than just a yes or a no. It can be nonverbal, and it can look many different ways. Consent is ongoing. Consent is throughout a relationship. It should be started early, and it even continues throughout a marriage. It's a conversation that you should continue to have. Consent is mutual. Both people feel safe and want to be there and feel like they can leave. They're not pressured to be there. And consent is sacred. Again, this goes along with those two most precious gifts that we've been given, our physical body and our agency. Elder Uchtdorf has said, God will never force us, he invites us. Not only is this a sacred principle, it's a principle of heaven. Now, going into more of the definitions, grooming is building false trust. In the case of this story, this is when Matt is hanging out with Samantha and asking her about her car. He's building this relationship in order to get something from her. Coercion is pressure that removes choice. Now, this is when Matt insists that Samantha give him a ride home, even though she says no. Accommodation is, agreeing so pressure stops. In this case, this is when Samantha finally says, sure, fine. And let me be clear, accommodation does not mean consent. And now there's assault. As a broad definition, this is when someone acts on someone without their permission. In this case, Matt grabbing the wheel and pulling it. Now, Spencer talked a little bit about survival responses, and I want to talk about those and how Samantha was impacted both in the moment and in the long term. Now, we have different survival responses. We have fight and flight, and there's two that you might not have heard before. There's freeze and fawn. The freeze response is what Samantha experienced. She froze. The second is fawn, and this is, for example, if you didn't want to kiss someone, but they kiss you, you would kiss them back. And of course, it's not logical. Like Spencer said, this is an immediate response that your body has because it's trying to keep you safe. And again, that's not consent. It's a survival response. Going along with healing, healing looks different for everyone. It might look like getting professional help, which might be going to get an examination and making sure your physical health is well after experiencing assault of any kind. And it might look like looking towards authority, towards the police to search for justice. It might look like speaking to family and friends that you trust. And it might look like slow and inconsistent progress, but as you continue to work on yourself, you will be able to heal. Elder Holland says, broken minds can be healed, just as broken bones and broken hearts are healed. Now, what can you do here at BYU, Idaho? The first is to love God and to love your neighbor, the first and second great commandments. If you have love as the object of your relationships, you won't want to do anything that would harm someone else. You can set clear boundaries early and throughout a relationship, any relationship, but especially romantic relationship. You can also realize and recognize their reactions to those boundaries. Now, sometimes in a relationship, you can have a conversation with that person and explain, hey, this is really important to me, and this is how I want things to be moving forward, especially if those aren't initially respected. Now, sometimes it's a little bit harder than that, and they won't respect it, and like Joseph of Egypt, you just have to run, and that's okay. You can help your friends and your roommates as you identify these things that are happening in their lives. You can help keep them safe and get them out of relationships that are harmful. And you can also lead them to campus and community resources, which I'll put up on the slide that you can take a picture of. And you can use that to help your friends, and if you've personally experienced assault, you can also use it in your own life. And I'll give you a moment to take a picture of this here. Don't worry if you can't see it, or if you're not able to take a picture. These are all found on the Title IX website, byui.edu/Title IX. In closing, consent, you can remember COMS, C-O-M-S. Consent is clear, consent is ongoing, consent is mutual, consent is sacred. And I know that as you practice the sacred principle of consent in your life, you will be able to respect not only your own physical body and agency, but that of someone else. And I invite you, as the semester comes to a close, to have a conversation with someone about consent, whether it be within a relationship that you have, a friendship, a family member, and it might be awkward, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect, but that momentary discomfort will be well worth it if it helps someone to feel and be safe as we practice the sacred principle of consent. Thank you.